Hello everyone. Today I would be discussing Thomas Hobbes, a mid 17th century philosopher and the first social contract philosophers in the series of social contract philosophy, the other two being Rousseau and John Locke. So there are certain things which must be count on at the first of the discussion, which are his conception of state of nature, human nature, sovereignty, and his social contract. So, Thomas Hobbes' concept of sovereignty is based on his ideas about human nature, which was also the fountainhead of all his philosophy. Thomas Hobbes wanted that neither tradition nor theology, but human nature should be the basis of political philosophy. He desired that politics and its theory should be as accurate as physical sciences. So, dealing with his conception of human nature, he believed that man is nasty, brutish, savage, solitary, and poor. He also believed that man is self centered and desires for security is his fundamental need, and that plays an important role in his political philosophy. So, what he believes that each one is solitary individual, and thus each one has his own concept of pleasure, pain, good or bad. So, he has basically provided a dark or an evil picture of human nature, which is uh, like people are quarreling with each other. There was fear, constant fear of war of all against all. So this he has what I feel has not done justice in defining human nature. Um Dealing with the state of nature is basically a hypothetical condition which had existed before the emergence of the civil society. So Hobbes believed that before joining civil society, people lived in the state of nature. So he has given a very gloomy picture of man at that stage, as I have been explaining you in his conception of human nature. Like there were no state controls and regulation, and in other words, he has tried to establish whether at any stage of history people lived and type of society which was called state of nature. So he is of the opinion that every individual is competitor of the other, and that is why it becomes difficult to satisfy all. So there is a situation of conflict always existing in the society between the nature of the man and the natural condition in which man is placed. So he has feelings of superiority and wishes to outdo the others and makes the competition unavoidable. This makes everyone potential enemy of the other for acquiring wealth, reputation, honor, superiority, and so on. So the competition becomes keen because each one is equal with the other in power and wisdoms, and that is why this makes everyone a potential enemy of the other. So what he believes here is that to avoid this condition or to come out of this condition, what people have decided is to come into a contract so that they can get some kind of protection and can live a happy life. So here comes the beginning of the contract. He believed that before the society, so civil society came into existence, people were in the state of nature, which is a very dark one. Since now they are coming in contract, verbal understandings would be of no meaning unless they are turned into convenience. He himself has said convenience without the sound are mere words and are no strength to secure a man at all. So what he says that people are coming in contract with the Leviathan. And equally important is the surrender of the natural right that was the guarantee to the people. Since his contract is one way, so his Leviathan or his sovereign is not surrendering his right in the contract. It is the people who are surrendering their right. What does that mean? That means Leviathan or the sovereign is coming after the contract. So he is not party to the contract. Party to the contract are the people who are surrendering all their right and coming in the contract. After surrendering their rights, they are accepted their limitations and they have submitted to the will of the one in hope of getting peace and security, which was not available in the state of nature. So that is why they are coming in the contract for the creation of a civil society. It must be noted here that his sovereign is indivisible and he is not party to the contract. So he also had no constitutional checks and people are surrendering willingly their rights to the sovereign and he has become the custodian of their rights. So Hobbes has created a Leviathan, powerful sovereign, and to which people have surrendered all their powers and rights. And this contract, once entered, is perpetual. It cannot be revoked. That means it is binding on the generations to come also as well. So, a lawfully constituted sovereign can be replaced only by a unanimous decision of the commonwealth. His sovereign is the sole interpreter of law, and his actions could not be prejudicial to social interest. He could not be charged with breach of contract. Why? Because, as I have been saying initially, he is not party to the contract. He cannot be charged with any breach of the contract. He was the symbol of national unity, and as such, any challenge to his authority is irrational. No no contract can be quoted against the sovereign because he is the final authority to approve all the contracts. Also to be noted here is that there could be no contract against him. And Hobbes continues to say that the obedience to authority was universal. So this is how he has presented the social contract. He has been criticized for the same, that his contract is sudden, his contract is defective, it is the rule of uncivilized, it's not a valid contract. Even Locke has criticized him. It has been criticized for laying down a shaky foundation of philosophy, for giving a wrong estimate of human nature, and wrong notion about replacement of sovereign and irrevocable contract, or giving undue importance to force or power, and giving excessive power to the sovereign. These has been the basis of criticism for Thomas Hobbes. Natural rights and natural law are two important things in his philosophy. Natural law, according to him, are immutable and eternal, and that every man must adjust his requirements according to the needs of other, and that none by his words and actions should hate anybody, and that everybody should believe in the equality of others, and that all men who mediate for peace be allowed safe conduct. In addition to this, he also discusses about natural rights. So he was of the view that in the state of nature, or prior to that, men had love for rights, and they have entered into contract for the protection of these rights. So, and because they have been struggling for peace and development, so these rights were at stake even when they thought of joining the civil society, and subjected himself to the authority of the sovereign. So in order to retain their those very rights, what they are doing, they are surrendering all their rights for the protection, uh, for their protection to Leviathan. But the right to life and property they are not giving up. He could give up everything but not these rights, as he mentions. He also reserved with himself these rights, and if this happens to be obeyed by sovereign at any stage, if he feels like his rights are being snatched, like his right to life or um, right to life and property are being snatched from him. He has very much right to disobey the sovereign, and such rights which he kept with himself even after joining the state of nature were called as natural rights. Thank you.